Hi, Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your June 2025 Astral Update. It's Raina here. So, what's the big story in June? Well, one of the big things is that Jupiter is going into a new sign, it's going into Cancer. And Jupiter has a year-long cycle, 12, 13 months. And so it's not, like Pluto, where it's just like a generational planet, but it's not like a personal planet where it just goes in and out within a matter of weeks. So it does have a lasting impact. And in Cancer, it's going to be in your 10th house of career. So how cool is that? And Jupiter is a planet of luck and expansion. So, you can guess where this is going. But let's start at the beginning of the month. Well, the 6th. Your ruler Venus is going into Taurus. For you, this is the 8th house, and this is the house of other people's money, and Venus can definitely be that. Actually, uh, Taurus rules the second house of earned income, so that's where, and Venus is ruled by Taurus, as are you, in the 7th house. So it really, deals with that. So there could be something that is coming up for you that is involving other people's money. Maybe you're getting some kind of payout if you have any kind of investments, that this is the time that it's going to happen, or if there's an inheritance, this could be the time that you're receiving that money, or getting divorced, that sort of thing. This is also maybe you're spending money on some kind of shamanic healing, either the healing itself or you're training to be one of those, um, you know, taking pleasure in astrology or metaphysical pursuits. On the 8th, Mercury, oh, one big thing about Venus in the 8th house can be um, your relationship is taken to a new level. This is really deep. This is very deep love. It's not shallow. It's interesting. The way that I put it is that the 7th house is the bells and the whistles. The 7th house is your house. Okay. So let's say that some Libra people got married in May or early June, and then all of a sudden Venus goes into your 8th house. That's the that's beyond the surface, because anybody can get married and they can have a ring and they can have all this. They could have a marriage certificate. That's proof, or they can have this party or this church ceremony, but it's really the actual bearing of souls that the 8th house is specializing in. That is the thing. The outer trappings aren't the actual thing. So I would say it's about deepening a relationship. On the 8th, Mercury goes into Cancer, which is that 10th house. And Jupiter goes there a day later. So with Mercury in the 10th, you could be even in a position, because this is the top of the chart, where you're, for some reason, communicating to an audience, or that your words are being read by others or heard by others on a larger scale. Maybe it's just in your industry, but you might be doing like some kind of public speaking that has to do with your career. But it could be that you're speaking to people in positions of authority. Jupiter goes there a day later, and that can bless your career sector. It can open up doors for you in the next 12 months that, expand. Jupiter's about expansion, that expand your career possibilities, achievements, and things like that, your status in the world. Luck could be involved. You could be at the right place at the right time. On the 11th, we have a full moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. This is in the third house for you, and it sextiles you, which is a friendly angle. And the third house is the house of the mind, and the full moon can bring a spiritual download or a realization where Sagittarius is a philosophical sign. So it may have something to do with understanding the meaning of life for yourself. And that might be like, okay, whatever, the meaning of life. But it can really help you to direct which way you want to go when it comes to the choices that you're making. In all areas of your life. Now, because we're dealing with Jupiter in the 10th house, that can be on the more mundane level that you're experiencing career success. But even when people experience success in a worldly sense, it does tend to prompt them to think philosophically sometimes, because it might have been that your dream comes true. You get your dream career going, and or you have this success that you've been looking for, and then you're still left like, okay, is this it? And so these kinds of things can kind of exist side by side, and it doesn't negate the awesomeness of creating that success for yourself. But then it also brings more questions, which is wonderful. I think questions are very important. I think it's important to question life, our things that are happening in this world. So another thing that could be happening, if you're a teacher, you could be ending a teaching job. It is June, so you might be ending teaching in a certain district. Maybe you're leaving the teaching profession altogether. And that could include, those who are retiring, I suppose. Ending some kind of training that you have, finishing a book that you're writing. On the 17th, Mars goes into Virgo. Virgo is the sign right before you, so this is going to be in the 12th house. Oh, Mars in the 12th, yuck. Actually, it doesn't have to be yuck. The reason I say yuck is because the 12th house is like this meditative house, and it's so like contemplative, and you think about somebody sitting on their meditative cushion or something. But Mars is like so active, it's athletic. It's like, so how does Mars peacefully coexist with the 12th house? And doing hatha yoga, which is a physical form of yoga, that makes sense. But also, the 12th house can be behind the scenes. It's this hidden house. So it's actually a really great, the month of June is a great time to launch something or to be, working on something. Could be very productive in June. And Mars, is that energetic, influence. You may have a sense of urgency about doing something, but it's behind the scenes. And that can actually be really good. I don't know why more people don't do this. I think that's one of the reasons why people abandon their projects, because they talk too much about it with other people. And I think there's a lot of power in kind of that privacy, in doing something. I was going to say doing something secretly, but it sounds like you're doing something wrong, bad, and it's not like that. I'm talking about just that you're not like once you put something out there to other people, then it's subjected it's subject to their opinions about it, and they could be criticizing it even when it's something that's like awesome for you. It doesn't matter what other people think. um, so why even tell them about it until it's a done deal? So you could be doing something like that. Now it could be Mars is very lusty. It could be like some secret love affair. But actually, I wouldn't even necessarily say love. It could be just like a lust situation. Now, why are you doing it behind the scenes? Could it be that I'm not accusing you of cheating, but it could be that you have to hide for some reason, or that you just want to hide. You just don't want anybody to know for some reason. But anyway, I just want to cover all the bases there. On the 20th, the sun goes into Cancer, so the sun is in that career sector, and that can make you very concerned with your professional life, concerned with the goals that you have, the ambitions. 5 days later, a new moon here at 4 degrees of Cancer, which, by the way, is going to form a conjunction with that Jupiter in Cancer. So that can be very auspicious for career matters. Keep that in mind, because you may have some kind of lucky break. Something happens that you didn't expect that is really like, there's a lot of positivity with Jupiter, so you're going to pour that into your career sector, and that just kind of increases the likelihood of success too. On the next day, the 26th of the month, Mercury goes into Leo. So that is your 11th house, another sextile. And the 11th house is a house of friendships and groups. It's the house of gains, which is, your profits, and the house of your hopes and wishes. So Mercury here, you might be thinking about long range goals that you have, but it can also be simply that you're contacting your friends more for some reason. Maybe there's a special event coming up, or maybe you have been so involved with someone else, like let's say you have gotten married recently, and Venus is in your 8th house, and you just have this sense of um, being absorbed in that relationship, and then you're thinking, what am I thinking here? I'm not being a good friend. I'm neglecting my friendships, and you call them up, and or who knows, maybe you're on your honeymoon. That's, I never thought of it that way. That could have been something as well. Actually, when that would really seem like that would be a thing is when Venus is in Gemini, because that would be the 9th house for you, and that would be long distance travel. So it could be something along those lines. But anyway, you might be just caught up in a relationship, and now you're touching base with friends, talking with them more often. During this time, Mercury has a very quick transit, and that tends to be how people operate, where they kind of touch base with people uh, periodically. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, since this is just a general reading, looking at your transits for the upcoming 12 months, interpreting your natal chart, I actually have a double reading. a package deal, so it's a special price called my deep dive reading with both of those, with chart analysis and transits for the next 12 months, called my deep dive. And I have love readings, career readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Bye.